Hey y'all, it's Rob, and welcome to a very windy. And of course, as I say that, it died down a little bit. We can hope it'll stay died down, but it hadn't yet. It's been 30 to 40 miles an hour all day long here. It's a Saturday evening, afternoon right now, and it's been a pretty nasty day. We get those here in this part of the world, as you know. Um, I was out here working and doing something, and I thought, this is something that's worth talking about. The title of this video is "You Don't Need Tools." That's a little bit misleading, isn't it? I'll explain it here in a second. Um, what I was doing was out here putting a new handle in this shovel right here, and I remembered something I read that I've kind of always thought about, but don't always think about, and that is that you don't need tools because you got tools, right? You got all kinds of tools. I mean, you got, good grief, hoes and rakes and brooms and sledgehammers and axes, and of course plenty of shovels of different kinds. But what you don't have probably is handles for them, because a funny thing happens with handles, and that is that they break. They get old, they get rotten, even if you keep them coated with oil, which I didn't keep this one coated with oil. They break, and so you have to have new ones. And it's a pain in the butt, but you have to do it. Sometimes handles break because they decide to make your life harder and they meet with a bad end, and we won't talk about that, but I don't know how. I guess this one screws out, doesn't it? So, yeah, okay. Yeah, easy enough to replace that one. The book I read, and I've read a bunch of his books, is by a guy, for all of you that remember the old Paladin Press days, there was a guy named Ragnar Benson, and he wrote lots of different books. I don't believe that was his real name. In fact, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But he wrote loads of books on, good grief, on poaching and survival and his experiences while he was a mercenary and living off the land and all kinds of things like that. In one of those books, this one, in fact, he wrote a part in there talking about tools that you should hang on to. And he mentioned that the tools are not the issue so much as the handles for the tools. He mentioned about trying to, I think he said he whittled an axe handle out of a tree limb. Good grief. He said it took a long time, wasn't very easy, and just buying a new axe handle was a whole lot cheaper. But he talked about a time when you might not can get handles. Sometimes that's the case. I should have more than I do. I've got a few miscellaneous handles for different things, but I've got so many different tools. Right over there behind the camera, I've got a pile of shovel heads, different kinds. This one right here is an irrigation shovel. Y'all may know what it is, you may not. Irrigation shovel doesn't have the little step plates on the back of the shovel like that, like some do, and it's got kind of a flat cut across there. This is one, it doesn't get used as much as it did. When I was a kid, all the irrigation around here, there wasn't very much done with sprinklers. There weren't any pivots. There were side road sprinklers, but most of the irrigating was done by running water out into a ditch and taking tubes that were kind of at a, I don't know, sort of an angle shape, and you fill the tube with water and get it set and then let it siphon. That's how the water gets out of the ditch and into the rows where they were trying to plant. The phone did something weird there. I'm not real sure what happened. GoPros are a weird camera. I cannot endorse them very well because they do strange things, like just decide to shut themselves off once in a while, like that one just did. That wasn't the point of all that. The point of all that was just that that was the type of shovel this was that it was used for doing ditch work when you're irrigating crops. The whole point of this is that handles break, handles rot, they break, they bend, and they got to be replaced. And if you can get them, that's great. But if we get in a time where you can't get them, then that's a problem. So it's good to have a stockpile of them. This one is this is an old shovel right here. I bet this is easily a 50 or 60-year-old shovel. And it was put together with the handle that broke off here, and it was held in by these bolts right here. And I had to, because they were so beat down, and probably somebody had rounded off and beat down the edges around the nuts here, I had to cut those off with a hacksaw and get it out. And there we go. Came out easy just when you think it wouldn't. So there's that. Pitch those over into the wood pile for the wood stove. And then I got a new handle I'm going to put on, and this is not exactly the right approved way to do it, but basically I'm just going to stick it right in there, and then I'm going to tap it down like that. And even if I didn't do anything, that would be good to go now. This is probably not, like I say, the handle that's really made for this shovel, but it'll do. And here in a little bit, I'll drill out the top hole and the side holes, and I'll put those bolts back in, and this will be good for another 50 years or so. But the point is, handles, I started to say handles are cheap. They're not cheap. Compared to a new shovel, they're cheaper than that. Compared to making one, they're cheaper than that. If I'd thought about it, I would have brought in, I got a couple of tools that I actually put steel handles in. I use some pipe. Since I do electrical work, I've got all kinds of pipe and conduit around, and I have multiple times used a piece of pipe as a handle. Now that's not ideal because it's heavy, and it's sitting in the sunshine, it gets hot. You got to keep it sitting in the shade. Now, your part of the world, the stuff may not get that hot, but around here, you leave something sitting out in the sun, and it's going to burn your hands. So it's just something to be aware of. But it's better than nothing. And then, if you get mad and beat it against a tree, a fence post, or somebody else, you don't break the handle as easy. So there is that. You got to look at the positive and everything. So that's really about all there is to this one. Not a lot to talk about, except that, good handles are nice to have. And there's always something needing a handle in back. Crash. I saw a hammerhead over here somewhere that needs a handle. I don't know where it is now. I got so much stuff in here, but get some handles. Also, handle, by the way, an axe handle in this part of the world is something you can carry in your pickup in case you come across a bunch of protesters that want to, well, I'm kidding, sort of. But, yeah, there's lots of stories about people getting beat with an axe handle or a pick handle. So anyway, that's it. Go get a spare handle for your tools. Of course you need tools. Obviously, you need tools. But the tools, even in a post-apocalyptic kind of world, all this stuff is made of steel. It's going to last. The handles are what's not going to last. That's the part that's going to go bad. So, if you're inclined to store things up, to stockpile things, and to put stuff away like that, go get an axe handle. Go get a shovel handle. Go get hammer handles. Any of that kind of stuff you think you might need, good to have. So, that's about it. Just a little quick video. I hope y'all's day is going good. I hope the wind quits blowing here. The wind's not going to quit blowing here. We already talked about that, didn't we? But, yeah, maybe the dirt will quit blowing. Maybe we'll get some rain someday, or some of that snow that HDP says he's getting and rubbing it on me. We get a little bit of that. That'll go a long way towards keeping the dirt from blowing. Anyway, thanks, y'all. Hope you're having fun. Cheers. Turn this off.